breaking news tonight in the desperate search that is underway for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. By now, we've all seen the surveillance footage of that masked, armed individual who was caught on Nancy Guthrie's home front door camera. But tonight we are learning from sources that the suspect was also at her doorstep on another night before she disappeared. This is image right here of the suspect with no reflective backpack, and then there's the one with the backpack, as we've now seen, that were widely circulated. They were actually taken on 2 different days. That's obviously a huge development here because it raises questions for investigators about why this suspect approached her home on 2 separate occasions. I want to bring in our CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst, John Miller. Also, the former FBI Deputy Director, Andrew McCabe, is here. And John Miller, when you look at this, in terms of what it tells us potentially about this person, how much they had been planning this, what kind of, whether they are savvy, maybe savvier than we had initially believed, what's the significance of this, do you believe, in this investigation?
Well, I think it tells us something we always kind of knew and suspected, which was unless that individual who carried out that abduction was so incredibly familiar with the home that he could breeze in and out, that they probably needed to do pre-operational surveillance, to do a reconnaissance, to figure out what barriers or impediments were in the way. You'll recall that there was a reference in one of the ransom notes to a floodlight that was destroyed. It was motion sensitive, so it came on in response to movement. That might be one of the things you would look for in a reconnaissance. What we didn't know was that these 2 sets of pictures, the one of him standing there without the backpack and the rest as he approaches the camera, which by now he's aware of because he's been there before, were taken on different days. That's the part that's new, even though we always assumed it was likely that he and or anyone else who worked with him would have been there before.
Well, and Andrew McCabe, part of why we maybe weren't able to confirm that is because there aren't really press conferences where reporters could ask questions. Because, this was something that was published by the FBI director, Kash Patel. He's the one who put out the images of the suspects. But when you look at the wording of his post, he says that these were images from the morning of her disappearance. They include backpack and no backpack. When you look at that, what do you make of that?
Well, he was obviously wrong. Whether he was just sloppy or intentionally wrong is a question we can't answer tonight.
Or your sources are fake.
Honestly, the idea that the no backpack photograph was taken on the same night as the backpack photograph never made any sense to any of the investigators that I know that have been focused on this pretty closely. It's just almost impossible to imagine a scenario in which you would come to the house prepared to enter it, to execute this kidnapping, and then for some reason take those things off, or vice versa. But in any case, let's focus on the communications problem here. We clearly have an issue with this investigative team not conducting any sort of regular updates on the case. And at this point, when the case has gone on for so long, they are, in my view, missing opportunities to draw further attention to this case. And the clarification on this image today is exactly one of those opportunities. They could have used this in a joint press conference as an opportunity to get people to relook at these photographs, maybe to exhort them to go back and look at their surveillance cameras one more time for something they may have missed. It's a way to inject more energy and focus and attention into the investigation. And that is something that this investigation needs desperately right now. It's a little bit curious that they haven't gotten up in front of the cameras and in front of the press for quite some time now, especially in light of how long this has taken.
It's a cold case.
Well, John, what do your sources say about that? Do they agree, or is there any talk even of holding a press conference?
Well, what I have heard and the feedback I've gotten from the questions I've asked is that, they have run out several significant leads that turned into dead ends. And now they are looking at the leads and all the work that they've done to try and figure out, where are the next things to focus on. That happens in a case like this. Andy McCabe and I have been there before, where you basically throw everything back out on the table and say, all right, let's find some new directions here. As for whether they should have, on the day they released the pictures, said they were from 2 different dates, there's 2 theories on that. One is, sure, for clarity. The other is The fact that they had established that the suspect had been there on multiple occasions, or at least one additional occasion, might not be something that they wanted him or his accomplices, if there are any, to know, just because it offers different investigative opportunities for the FBI.
All
and for the sheriff.
speculation, no fact.
Yeah, it does answer those questions, like to McCabe's point about why was there a backpack in one picture, not in the others.
Because
John
it's
Miller,
two
Andrew McCabe, we'll see what we
different
learn from
guys.
this. Thank you both for joining us on this breaking news tonight.